days in, but I'm already tired. So
Can believe it. So might
yeah,
have a shorter episode today because you've practiced this evening or this afternoon.
I lift in an hour and then practice again tonight. And
Damn.
game
So
tomorrow.
game tomorrow. Who you guys playing?
A JUCO tomorrow. We play Butler Sunday. Then
All
we
right.
get the season going.
Nice. Is that Butler's first game of the actual season?
It's preseason still.
Preseason still.
Yeah,
Sweet. Well, anyway, good luck to you in that because
thank you.
we'll be keeping an eye on that. But elsewhere in the world, Australia and New Zealand, to be specific, we have the Women's World Cup going on, and we are into the quarterfinals. Round of 16 took place this past week. We'll go through some of those matches. We'll start with the big one, obviously Sweden, the U.S. Oh man,
Wow.
kind
We
of
lost, though.
not exactly to be surprised. Sweden won on penalties. That's more of the surprise, but U.S. just didn't look good again.
No, we just have no bite in attack. We have no bite whatsoever. We were watching it. It didn't really feel like we were gonna score. Like at all. I mean, okay, the header, yes, I'll give you that. The header, that was a pretty good save. And then I thought Haran was gonna score that one off the cutback. She used her right foot. So keeper actually played really well. I forget her name off the top of my head, but she played phenomenally well. But and like I feel like the U.S. definitely deserve, like, we're the better team on the front foot during the game, but that's not how you advance. You know, how you advance is you get the win no matter what, and that's what Sweden did. Our penalties were shocking.
I'll say Megan Rapinoe looked like she should be trying out for an NFL team soon. So that ball was right up and through the uprights.
Yeah, and then Sophie Smith, far right, wasn't very close, and then I don't know, dude. The Kelly O'Hara one, that one just looks so slow moving and terrible from the moment it left her foot. Like they were terrible penalties.
Yeah. I mean, the advantage was to the U.S. in the penalty shootout. Sweden missed first.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. then took the advantage and went up 3-2. Then they both missed. And then, like you said, Sweden scored to make it 3-3 on that fifth penalty, and Sophie Smith just completely shanked the hell out
She
of it.
could have won the game for us.
She really could have. And that was brutal to see because the U.S., like you said, didn't play great, but probably deserved to win and kind of outplayed Sweden. But Sweden just held it together more in the end there.
Can I ask a question? Why the hell was Megan Rapinoe even on this roster?
Your guess is as good as mine.
38.
She contributed. I actually think she might have hindered the team more than contributed anything in this entire World Cup.
Terrible. She was terrible, and all she did was blast her penalty over the crossbar. Every corner she took was bad. Just not. She's 38, man.
It's
How do you bring a 38-year-old past her prime? Okay, you bring her for locker room presence. That's fine. Then why the hell are you playing her?
yeah.
You know?
Did not need to be playing her. Should not have been playing her. And I'm wondering if we're going to see a new manager for the U.S. women's team coming up soon because there's a lot of slack on that guy as well. So.
Flacco's terrible. His substitutions in the Dutch game made no sense whatsoever. He made one substitution that game. How does that make any sense? I mean, I know we were on the front foot, but when you see players like Rodman and Morgan struggling out there, why don't you bring in fresh legs to then go at their back line? That's number one.
At the end, that match was the one where you might use a few more subs. Ended up being a draw. That might give you the advantage.
Yeah, and then you can win, and you don't have to play Sweden in the next round. You'd have played South Africa, which, if you saw their goalkeeping mistake, that would be a very welcome match instead of Sweden, who was very compact defensively. Keeper played phenomenally, and yeah, they won.
Yep. U.S. disappointing, ending their quest for a third straight Women's World Cup title. But the other ties, some of them not really that close, not that exciting. Spain beat the brakes off of Switzerland 5-1. Kind of to be expected there. Not too much of a shock in that one. Netherlands, as you mentioned, beat South Africa 2-0, and that was partially because of that terrible goalkeeping mistake.
That was awful. I don't know what you can't even explain that one, but we knew Netherlands was going to win that game.
Yeah, we did. It was I was honestly surprised it was only 2-0. I thought it'd be a little bit more.
I was thinking it'd be more too.
Other ones, Japan beat Norway 3-1. I was surprised. I thought Norway would have put up more of a fight, but Japan is looking good, and
Mhm.
we'll get into the previews a bit for the next round, but that match with Sweden is looking really tasty.
Defensively, very solid, both teams.
Absolutely. But that's the top half of the bracket. The bottom half, hosts Australia took care of business, beating Denmark 2-0. They now will play France, who good on Morocco for making it this far, but like we said last time you saw us on the Daily Show, it's kind of a fluke that they even got into the next round, and they were thumped 4-0. So not overly surprising there. Other ones, England. That's the one that kind of surprised me. England needed penalties to beat Nigeria, partially because England went down to 10 women because of a terrible red card by Laura James.
Why?
She just, if you haven't seen it, she straight up just stomped on the other girl.
There was no need. There was not like the Nigerian player did anything. Anyway.
No.
There was literally no need. It made absolutely no sense whatsoever.
And she's been one of England's best players throughout this World Cup so far. So she could be out. She'll likely be out for at least one match. Could be more. Could be a suspension coming because that's just, there's no need for it. It's dirty play at the end of the day. Have that. But England will now play Colombia, who the end of the Cinderella story of Jamaica. Sure, they have a Cinderella story in their own right, Colombia, but I picked Jamaica to win that one. I was wrong. You picked Colombia. Props to you. So that is kind of the wrap up of what has happened in the last round of the Women's World Cup. But I want to look ahead at the quarterfinals that begin on August 11th. Spain versus Netherlands is the first one. What are you expecting in this one?
Well, we know Spain likes to keep the ball.
Yeah.
Netherlands can keep the ball too, to be fair. We saw them do it against the U.S., but I think Spain will dominate that side of it. I still like Spain, personally. I think that the Japan game was kind of fluky. Like that, it's crazy, and that's something that can happen, but I think Spain's still a very, very good team. I think Netherlands has looked really well, though, like really good this tournament. So this one's going to be a tight one, I think. I honestly might go Netherlands now that I'm thinking about it. I don't have any particular reason why. I've just liked how they look. They look organized. They can score when they need to. I think that might be what it is. Like against Vietnam, they ran up the score. When they get chances, they will score. We saw it against the U.S. They will score. Whereas Spain struggles a little bit more with that. We saw that against Japan, that game where they dominated them but lost 4-0. So I'm going to have to go Netherlands in a very close game. I'm going 1-0 after extra time.
I like that pick. I am going to take Spain on the other hand, though. I do think that 5-1 win over Switzerland is kind of more of the team that we expect to see in this tournament. That 4-0 loss to Japan, like you said, kind of a fluke because they did dominate possession. But as we've seen, Japan is a very good team. Can't take anything away from them. But I do think that was like Spain just playing poorly, not making any chances despite the possession. This time I think they will, and we saw that against Switzerland, kind of dominated, and it was only 5 minutes in until they were up 1-0. And realistically, when you look at it, Spain scored all 6 goals because the only Swiss goal was an own goal, in fact. So I do have Spain winning this, and I think it'll be probably – I'm going to go 2-1. So I'll take that. That is also the only match that is real, like, nice TV-wise. It'll be 9 p.m. Eastern time on the 10th, so tomorrow, Thursday. If you want to watch that, that is one of the most exciting or more exciting matches in this quarterfinal. Moving on to the winner of that, on that half of the bracket, will play the winner of Japan and Sweden. And like you said, Jackson, this is going to be a very defensive match.
Yep. And this one's tough as well because you look at how these teams have been playing. Sweden has won every game they've played in. I mean, if you're going to count this one as a tie, then whatever, but they won.
So
that's how they got through. So, yeah, they've won every game that they've been involved in, and they look strong defensively. We saw it against the U.S. They can keep them out. Japan has also won every game, but they've actually won it outright.
Yeah.
Been very solid defensively as well. So this one's going to be a very interesting matchup, I think. I'm going Japan. I think they've looked by far – I mean, they look like one of the best teams in the tournament, if not the best team in the tournament, I think. I mean, they beat Norway 3-1. that's a good Norwegian team with some of the better players in the world, and they took care of them pretty easily. So I think I got to go Japan in this one.
Yeah, my big question is obviously like Sweden's defense held the U.S., which was a bad attacking team, held them scoreless and even gave up some chances there. Japan have the Golden Boot leader at the moment in Hinata Miyazawa, who has 5 goals already in this tournament, leads it. A couple players with 4 behind her, but she's looked like the best player in the tournament so far, at least on the attacking end. She is even a midfielder, so creating those chances from there. It's going to be interesting to see how Sweden's defense really kind of tries to slow her down because we saw, like I said, we saw them slow down the U.S. attack, but it's been a very, very bad U.S. attack in this World Cup. Going up against a Japan team that has been putting up goals in bunches. They won 5-0, 4-0, now 3-1. So they are scoring pretty much whenever they want and however they want. They don't need to have the ball. They can counter. They can control the game with good possession. I'm finding myself kind of leading towards Japan taking this one. I do think it'll be a close one. I think it'll be, again, I want to say 2-1, but I could see it being like a 1-0 or even possibly if Japan does what they did against Norway and they kind of sit back a bit and then counter, could be a 3-1 because they did have majority possession, but some of their goals came as the result of counterattacks, which we saw that with the Japanese men's side. It's kind of that Japanese mentality in the footballing world. It's kind of sit back, let players come to you, and then take advantage of mistakes, and they're very, very good at that.
Yeah, they are.
Looking at the other half of the bracket, the first semifinal on August 12th at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Eastern Time, Australia versus France. This one's going to be spicy. Because Australia, obviously the host, Sam Kerr is now pretty much back to full health, arguably the best player in the world. France, on the other hand, have won 3 matches in a row, and 2 of them by 3+ goals, beating Panama 6-3, Morocco 4-0. They're not the best teams, but this one I have a tough time. I think this is the hardest one for me to pick at the moment.
Yeah, I feel like I got to go with the host, because I'm with you. I'm kind of like 50-50 on this one, so I'm going to lean host. I think they ride that energy. Again, great support for Australia at this World Cup. They've had so many fans go to their games cheering for them, so I think that'll push them over the line. But I think this one's going to be a really close game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, in their 2-0 win over Denmark, there was nearly 76,000 fans in attendance, which is unheard of for a Women's World Cup match. So I would expect it to be a full house in Brisbane, where England played Nigeria, and they had a capacity or total attendance of nearly 50,000. So I'd expect there to be a lot of Australians in the crowd really cheering on their team because, one, they haven't really – I don't know if they've ever won this tournament. I don't believe they have. They've come very close in the past, but it's always been getting that one step further. And, yeah, they only ever made the quarterfinals, so they will be looking to advance a bit further. Hosts behind them haven't hosted a major World Cup of any sorts for a while. I say it was 2002 when they – no, not 2002. Ignore that. But, hey, no, that was the Japan and South Korea one, but that's really the closest they've had for a while. So it's going to be something fun to watch. I do think Australia gets it done. France is a dangerous team, though. They have the second highest goal scorer in Kadiatu Diani, who's 4 goals, tied with Gilles Ruud of the Netherlands and Alexandra Popp of the now eliminated German team. But it's not just the goal scoring she's been doing, Diani. She has the most assists. And France, I feel like that they could be having momentum from that 4-0 win. Because anytime you put up 4 against a team, doesn't matter the caliber, things are clicking, feeling confident. So I am very, very close. I think this will be an extra time match, if not penalties. But I do have the Australians taking it. Probably going to go 2-1 or 1-0 in extra time.
I like that.
It's going to be an interesting one, to say the least. It's going to be one that's worth watching because 2 talented teams. Obviously, the Australian crowd will be in full force out there. Then the last semifinal, England versus Colombia. Colombia is now the last real Cinderella story team in this World Cup, going up against an England team that's missing arguably its best player in this tournament in Lauren James. what are you expecting in this one? Because
Yeah.
back in my mind, I have the feeling like England is definitely the better team on paper. It's a matter of how much they be missing James, because there's also been plenty of injuries leading up, a couple in this World Cup. So it's kind of uh, a little handicapped of an England squad against Colombia that's just been pulling games out by the skin of their teeth, even to an extent.
Yeah, and before the England Nigeria game, I 100% would have said England. I thought they were the strongest team in the tournament, but when I watched that game, Nigeria could have very easily won that game. 100%. That one hit off the crossbar was almost magical. And Colombia's got attacking threat, especially with Caicedo. This one's tough for me. It really is. I think Colombia wins this game.
You do? Okay.
I'm going to go Colombia. I'm going with the upset here. England still should win the game, but I have this gut feeling that Colombia is going to win. So I'm going to stick with my gut here and say Colombia wins on a counterattack, 1-0.
I like that pick. It's England. It's in a World Cup quarterfinal. I've seen it so many times on the men's side, a couple times on the women's side where they just falter and get in their own way, and it seems like that's happening again. Getting a big red card in the last match. I do, however, think at the end of the day, England is the better team and still has the better players. I am going to back them to win. I think it'll be like the World Cup in 2018 where England beat Colombian men on penalties. I don't think it'll quite go to penalties, but I see extra time happening in this one, which sets us up for a probably Australia-England final if it goes my way.
Mm-hmm.
Colombia-Australia if it goes yours. And those semifinals, those will be fun to watch. We'll probably get another episode of the two of us before then, so you guys will see a preview for that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, this World Cup's been so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
Even at the weird hours, just going back, rewatching the matches that I've slept through. It's been a great time.
Yeah, some great upsets, some great games. It's been better than I thought it would be by far, especially with the expansion.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the fact that we're into the quarterfinals and we have teams from 3 different regions.
Mm-hmm.
Really, you could argue 4, but Australia does play in Asia. So there is that. But world's getting shown here. There's teams from all over the world going. It's not just like the men's where it's all either Europe or South American teams. There is a wide variety here.
Yeah.
Coming back to the U.S., though, we do have the Leagues Cup still going on, and that is into the quarterfinals as well. And once again, penalty kicks have been the story of this last round of matches. 5 matches have gone to penalties. The U.S. has finally lost a penalty kick shootout to Mexico when Querétaro beat the New England Revolution 4-3. But there were some exciting matches.
Mm-hmm. For Nashville's been riding the penalties.
Oh, yeah.
Where they needed to be. But let's talk about the most exciting match of all was the Inter Miami FC Dallas game. That was one of the most fun soccer games I've ever watched in my life. Because you had MLS defending at its finest. Not even the own goals, just the actual defending.
Yeah.
Like, who was it? On one of Dallas's, I think it was their first goal. First or second spacing. Terrible defending. The own goals were terrible.
Yep.
Especially the Dallas one. I don't know what the hell that was. I mean, Robert Taylor's is more understandable. It's not good, but you're trying to stop a cutback, hits your foot wrong, goes in the goal. It's not great, but it happens. But I've never seen something live like I saw with that Dallas own goal where he literally headed it in with as much power as he could into his own goal from 3 feet away.
It's almost as if he thought he was going the other way and decided, I'm going to just thump this ball home and put my team ahead. Instead, put his team behind.
Yeah, and I can't even understand what he was trying to do. But yeah, that happened. And then that free kick from Messi was actually unbelievable. It was unreal. He's actually so good.
It's still unfair. I mean, he scores 5 minutes in, getting the assist from Jordi Alba. Barcelona, old Barcelona now at its finest, kind of really controlling. Alba had a second assist as well on Inter Miami's second goal, so he's fitting perfectly in alongside Busquets and Messi. But that free kick, I honestly thought the match was kind of over when it was 4-2 after that Miami own goal.
I did too.
I saw that score, and then I was back at work and wasn't watching the second or the rest of that half. Suddenly I see it's 4-4, and sure enough, Messi from outside the box with another free kick. It's levels ahead of everyone. I think there was the FC Dallas coach said after the match that giving Messi a free kick is almost like giving anyone else a penalty. You just have to pray it doesn't go in at this point.
Yeah. I mean, he hit it perfect top bins. It was literally as good of a free kick as you could hit. And then, yeah, they won in pens. So,
And sure enough,
who was it? It was Paxton Pomykal. Absolutely smashed his over the crossbar for Dallas. And Miami made every single one. Kremeshi, 18-year-old homegrown player, got the winning penalty, and he scored a goal in the game. So he's been pretty impressive for an 18-year-old kid.
oh, absolutely. I mean, seeing all these young guys come in and perform at a high level, that's great for the future of not only the MLS, but the U.S. team in general. It's kind of what we've preached before is that youth aspect of growing it here, and this is kind of doing that. A penalty is Messi obviously scored. Busquets scored. Can't ask much more of your two leaders at this point, and then the young guys stepped up and took it home for them. So Inter Miami moved on 4-4. You did mention that Nashville has been riding the penalties. That was a hell of a match also.
Mm-hmm.
Finished 2-2 after full time, then extra time. But it was 1-1 going into the 90th minute. A 94th minute penalty put Club America ahead. And then a 99th minute equalizer tied it up for Nashville. And that's just crazy. How much extra time? One, first of all, they're getting, I guess it was some extra time based on, or extra injury time based on the penalty probably taking a while. But seeing a game like that must be exhilarating for the fans.
I mean, that's something the Leagues Cup is providing. I still think it's an absolute joke of a tournament, and I question why it's happening. I mean, I know why it's happening. We all know why it's happening, but it's kind of just feels like it's kind of like that NBA in-season tournament now when I'm still trying to understand why the hell that's a thing. But this is literally what that is. But to be fair, there have been some very, very exciting matchups that we've seen so far. Very exciting games, and this was one of them.
Yes, it was. And I mean, there was controversy at the end there.
Mm-hmm.
When it was into the 5th or 6th penalty round, Nashville had their penalty saved, and that would have given the win to Club America. Club America fans ran on the field celebrating here in Nashville, and sure enough, the goalkeeper, after review, stepped off his line too early. They allowed Jack Mayer to retake his penalty, and he didn't make the same mistake twice. Next penalty, Club America misses, Nashville scores, and Nashville wins. So some typical MLS chaos happening here as well. CONCACAF is indeed going to CONCACAF. But that was a great one. That puts another U.S. team into the next round. We currently have 6 MLS teams left, 2 Liga MX teams left. I feel like this is the MLS's to lose. They're already guaranteed 2 teams into the semifinal, and it's going to be spicy. I really like the look of that LAFC versus Monterrey match. But LAFC, they've been on a tear in this knockout stage.
Yeah, 7-1 and then 4-0. Like they're ripping through these games. They're playing Monterrey, who beat Timbers 1-0 and then beat Tigres 1-0. So they've been winning by the skin of their teeth. This will be a fun one to watch, especially in LA. You bet those fans are going to be going crazy. This will be a fun.
Oh, absolutely! It's going to be a very entertaining match. But the other ones into this, were there any other last round matches that you want to quickly touch on, or I think we covered all the big ones?
Yeah, I mean Minnesota beat Toluca in penalties as well, so worth noting that. But no, those were the big ones.
Yeah. So looking at the next round, Inter Miami takes on Charlotte. If I'm willing to bet anything, I'm gonna bet Messi is probably gonna score yet again.
Yeah, I mean considering it's 3 games. Is that 7-4? Yeah, so
I saw something like he's already fourth all time on the Inter Miami goals list.
After 4
And he
games.
played 4 matches. I think Higuain has the record at 27 or 29. I think he might break that this year.
He might.
He really could in the rest of the MLS season, rest of the League's Cup. It's Inter Miami's. It seems like it's theirs to lose this whole tournament. Everything's kind of been going their way. They've looked so much better than everyone at most parts of their game. FC Dallas did give them a run for their money.
Yeah. They look like the team that should win this. And after winning that last game, being down by 2 goals, scoring 2 goals, and winning in pens, that gives you such a huge bit of belief in yourself. And it allows you to build a huge amount of momentum.
I will say Charlotte might have a bit of momentum their own right. They played Houston Dynamo, won that 2-1, but it was an 80th minute equalizer and then an 81st minute own goal that saw Charlotte take the win. So I do back Inter Miami and everyone in that. Philadelphia Union versus Querétaro, 2 teams that went to penalties in their last match. Philadelphia Union have gone to penalties in their 2 knockout stage matches. So safe bet. This is probably going to go to penalties. Would not be surprised one bit. So going to be another interesting one. Penalties have been the whole story of this knockout stage, so you never really know what's going to happen there.
With no extra time, you see how these go.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same with Minnesota and Nashville. Both teams have played 2 penalty matches each in this, round of 32 and round of 16. So another one kind of to be expected to potentially go to penalties. We'll see on that. And then, as we said, LAFC and Monterrey, that'll be probably the most exciting of the 3. Most likely the one that will not go to penalties, but who knows there. Anything else on the League's Cup before we move on to some other news recent?
No, I'll go to my end.
Sweet. Well, latest transfer news, because the transfer window is not quite to an end. There's a couple weeks left, and there's been some decent news, even just today. Big one I want to talk about before we get into anything else. The most expensive defender in the Premier League, Harry Maguire, is looking to be on the move to West Ham. Do you like that? Do you not like that for the Hammers?
Man, if you're a West Ham fan, you're probably pissed.
Yeah.
You're realistically pissed. I hope it works out for him. I feel like Maguire's gone through more shit than any player I've ever seen in terms of online abuse, all kinds of stuff. He's been absolutely horrid for Manchester United, but he's still a good enough player that he can do well in a new place. I was hoping for his sake he'd get out of England, go somewhere else where you get away from all those fans. I don't know how he'll do. I feel like with him it's all mental.
Yeah.
Could either be a very, very good signing for West Ham, or it could be more of the same and they waste 30 mil. I honestly don't know.
Because
I don't even think Maguire knows. I don't think anyone knows, but
because we've seen him play so well for England at times, he so poorly for Man U, and you never know what kind of version of the player you're going to get. Could be solid in the back, could potentially get all mental stuff and just kind of collapse, but we will see on that. Other transfer news that's kind of going through today, it looks all but official that Raya will be joining Arsenal. I think medical is booked for Thursday, according to Fab. So that's a big signing that's kind of finally come over the line. I'm still curious to see how much he plays and what he really does, or if he's just brought in to be competition for Ramsdale.
Well, Ramsdale does some absolutely dumbass stuff on the ball. He did it at the City game, the Community Shield at the end, where he just gives the ball away.
Yeah.
So he does that. Why wouldn't you sub in Raya, who's probably better with his feet and is also an incredible shot stopper? So it's going to create a lot of competition for Ramsdale. Raya may end up even being the starter, depending on what happens with Bourne. So 2 good keepers. I mean, Arteta wants depth. Edu's being basically cutthroat with this. So I think it's a good thing. I just think we spent a little bit more money on it than we should have. But that's just the market we live in today, sadly. So
I mean, with Saudi Arabia doing everything they have, money and spending is much
Hmm.
much higher than ever before. I do want to quickly also talk on Man City, some of the moves they've made today, because it looks like Kyle Walker, first and foremost, is going to be coming back. I think that's good for them, kind of keeps that defense together that's already solid. And now they're trying to go out and get Lucas Paqueta. It's apparently a £70 million verbal bid agreed from West Ham,
I thought they
but
rejected it.
looking for something else. I'm seeing rumors of they want maybe Calvin Phillips or another player to go back. Paqueta would be a big loss for them in that midfield.
Yeah, he would. He's so good on the ball. He's one of the more fun players to watch because he has got like absolute flair. I was gonna say he's got like if you think football manager terms, his flair is at 20. He can do the unexpected at all times. Really fun player, but it's not just that he does like tricks and stuff. He's incredibly effective. He starts in Brazil's midfield for a reason. He's an absolute baller. I'm kind of shocked he hasn't been picked up by a big club yet. I know he went first out of Europe. He went to AC Milan, who is a big club, but at the time they were still kind of on the up and up. And then he went to Lyon and now West Ham. So I feel like natural progression, it makes sense that he goes to a big club. I hope he doesn't go to City as an Arsenal fan, but he'd be a great signing for him.
Yeah, it really would be. I mean, it just adds so much more depth to a team that's already crazy. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where that goes because Man City usually, once they have their mindset on someone, they end up getting him one way or another. Still want to talk one more thing on at least some transfers in the Premier League. It looks like Tyler Adams could be moving on from Leeds, heading to Chelsea. Is looking like the trend. As a Leeds fan, I'm bummed, but honestly not overly surprised one bit. Just as a £20 million release clause, I think that's a good pickup for Chelsea.
Yeah, but if you're him, why do you want to go to Chelsea?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to probably just sit on the bench like Pulisic did and
Sit on the bench.
still hurt as well.
Yeah, and the club's kind of a shit show still. I still don't think they're going to make it back to Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
It still looks like they're just buying without an actual plan.
Yeah.
I like Poch as a manager. I think they'll be better than last year, but I don't know why he'd really want to go except money and clout, which fair enough. But yeah, I don't think he'll play. I don't think he'll start. I really don't. But I mean, he's a baller. He works hard, so maybe he'll earn his way in. But if I were him, I would have tried to go somewhere like West Ham or Villa where you can come in and be the guy. You know?
Yeah, go somewhere where you can actually play because obviously he's coming off injury and still likely won't be healthy until September.
Yeah.
Why do you want to go and not that he's going to – I mentioned this before, not that he's going to go and lose his spot on the U.S. team at all by any means, especially now that he was named the captain at the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to actually play so you can get back into playing condition, actually be healthy and all of that stuff.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like the way Pulisic was treated at Chelsea. I think there's a very strong anti-American kind of feeling in the Chelsea fan base.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Pulisic didn't do himself any favors, but yeah, I just don't know why he would have gone. But.
I mean, the only other thing I can think of is maybe Bowley has some sort of pull on him saying, as he is an American owner, maybe that's something, but I don't see the move really making sense for either. I see it more for Chelsea because they just add another piece in the depth that.
Yeah.
There we go. I don't know what the hell happened.
We're back.
Anyway, it's just kind of don't understand it for Adams' sake. Maybe stay at Leeds. That's a little bias on my half, but who knows? Yeah. Do want to talk one more guy because I saw some news on him today. PSG has approached Mbappe about signing a new deal, and he rejected that.
Yeah.
Is Mbappe actually going to leave this summer? Do you actually think he will leave in the next 3 weeks?
I think he's enough of an egomaniac. He will stay just to prove a point.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't you think that's something he would do?
100%.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if Madrid's going to bid for him because first of all, you'd help significantly, but do you really need to go spend that money on him? Especially if you can just go get him for free next year. Do
Yeah.
you need to go do that when you already have? I mean, to be fair, they need a striker, but no offense to Hosalu, but I think they need a striker. But I don't know. I think he's enough of a psycho egomaniac that he would be okay sitting on the bench to prove a point.
Yeah, I
Which,
wouldn't be surprised at all. Maybe he goes in January, maybe. But even then, I don't think. I think he's going to just force his way out to next season, unless PSG are adamant. And I mean, they had a hell of an offer, and the team agreed to it. It's just I don't think Mbappe wants to go anywhere but Real Madrid, and they spent so much money on Jude Bellingham already this summer that maybe they're worried about financial fair play still, which is always a thing to be kept in the back of the minds of teams, even if some of them never seem to really get penalized for it one way or another. It's not quite sure how that all works and how some teams get hit with it, some teams don't. But I guess money talks even on that back end. We can kind of throw some money under. We know how corrupt FIFA's been. UEFA potentially the same. But also looks like Neymar wants out.
yeah, Chelsea too.
Chelsea, yeah. That would be an interesting signing as well for Chelsea if they go out and get Neymar this summer. It's again just feels like they're throwing money at big name players and hoping it all works itself out.
This was literally me the first time I played Football Manager on my phone when I was like 14. Was signing without actually planning. That's what it feels to like Chelsea is doing. It makes they just any player Chelsea's linked with them. It's literally like Saudi Arabia, but Chelsea's also right there trying to get them. Like, hey, I don't know what they're doing, man. Neymar also to the MLS is a rumor as well, but
Oh, could you imagine Neymar to Inter Miami?
oh my god, it'd be over. It would be over.
I mean, at that point, no one else should show up because the
Yeah,
two of them, Messi and Neymar alone, I'm telling you. I
it's
know,
over.
I know I said it jokingly when we first heard the news, but give us the MSN trio back in the MLS together.
Can you
That
imagine?
would be, I mean, that would just be unfair. It already is with just one of them with Messi, but Neymar's still young enough and kind of in the midst of maybe just past his prime, but still in the midst of his prime. It would just be ridiculous. But I think he's far more likely to go than Mbappe is.
Mm-hmm.
So I
I
think
agree.
he'll go somewhere this summer, whether it is MLS. Don't think he will be going to Saudi Arabia. That's one thing I'm just kind of confident on. I think he'll either be MLS or Premier League. Maybe move back to Barcelona, but
Yeah,
I've
it didn't
read
seem
stuff.
that.
Yeah, it seems like he wouldn't fit into their plan, and they don't really have a need for him. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be spicy. Jackson, are there any other transfer news or rumors that you want to discuss before we kind of wrap this up? Because it's a shorter episode today, Jackson, as you have to get off to practice. Other transfers you want to discuss?
I mean, we covered the main big ones. There's some other ones too that are going on. Cassidy from Chelsea to Leicester on loan. I really liked him at the U20 World Cup. I think he's a baller. So good signing for them. But
I
now we covered the
do
heavy stuff.
I do have one other that I feel like is just the most random transfer I saw in the last 48 hours. Ross Barkley to Luton.
I did see that.
That
Yeah.
just seems so random. And I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense because he was a free agent and go sign, play for a Premier League team. But it just is going to be weird seeing him play for Luton, in my opinion, at least.
I forgot he existed, honestly. Like I
Yeah, it was like
stuff is yeah.
kind of disappeared after his time at Everton, and injuries troubled him a bit. Now he's popping back up at Luton. I just saw that and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think Luton and Sheffield United have done enough, by the way.
no, I
I
see.
think Burnley, I like Burnley, the looks to them.
Okay.
They signed Sander Berg today too. That's actually I really like Sander Berg. Um, I like what they've done more so. I feel like especially Sheffield United really hasn't done a lot.
Yeah.
I I'm not feeling confident for those two teams.
Oh, and I mean, Sheffield United is being managed by Paul Heckenbottom, so that won't end well at all from a Leeds experience there. So hopefully, wouldn't be surprised if we see Sheffield United get in trouble and kind of go down this season because them and Luton have just, like you said, it seems like they're too small-minded and aren't spending enough money on bringing in new players and upgrading the squad.
Yeah.
So I really don't know if Ross Barkley is an upgrade to anything they already had. Sure, he has some experience, but he's got to be getting up there in age at this point.
Yeah, at this point, it's not improvement.
There's only one other one I want to mention, only because I now don't like Bournemouth that much. Max Aarons was looking to be coming to Leeds and now is going to Bournemouth from Norwich. I think that's a good signing for them. I was really hopeful because he's a solid outside back. Played at the Youth World Cup this summer and helped England win that. So he's a good little future talent that could be there to help out, not necessarily this year, but he will be thrown into that Bournemouth squad, and we'll see how that ends up for him.
Yeah, he's good, man. He's really good.
He's a star in the making.
Yeah.
And here's one other that's kind of just come in the last 15, 20 minutes. James Ward-Prowse has agreed to go to West Ham.
Oh, so he's not staying at Southampton.
Not staying at Southampton, which we discussed last week, is James Ward-Prowse was one of the reasons we thought that Southampton would stay up, is because they've kept a lot of their talented players, unlike Leicester, who sold them. So it's going to be – I think that's a good move for him, good move for West Ham.
Huge blow for Southampton.
Huge blow for them. But otherwise, Jackson, I really don't think there's been too much else going on in the world of transfers. So if there's anything else in the soccer world you want to touch on briefly, go ahead. Otherwise, we will wrap it up there. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for another episode of the Vendetta Sports Media Daily Show tomorrow. And Jackson and I will also be starting a podcast coming up this weekend, Premier League podcast. Stay tuned for that. And the Premier League season's around the corner. So Vendetta Sports Media, we have our Australian friend down under, Jared Prosser, has organized a roundtable for all of our predictions. We will be doing a power rankings of the Premier League throughout the season. A couple other leagues will be involved as well at times. Stay tuned for all of our soccer coverage at Vendetta Sports Media. Make sure you click that subscribe button below on YouTube, on Twitch, so you guys can stay updated with all the sports news. From Jackson, for me, thank you guys for watching and see you next time.